We are back here at ITB 2024, ITB convention, right here at the orange stage, and it's my great pleasure now to dive with you into a very exciting afternoon, because it's time for some pitches, as we are diving into travel technology startup scenery, and we will have a look who's winning and who will be a winner later on. But for that, I welcome Lea Jordan here on stage.
Yes, and thank you once again for being here with us, for choosing us, given the time, given the choices, given we're in Berlin and there's happening a lot in our industry and everyone's coming to Berlin from all over the world. We appreciate that. But also, we will give you a good session now for the next hour. Be excited. We have an interesting panel followed by pitches, and the startup founders, they will receive feedback live on site here. So I think that's a very good setup. And I'm very honored to have experienced industry veterans joining me for this session, and they will offer their views, their advice and experiences for us. So please welcome on stage with me Susanna Chewy from Amadeus Ventures, Bastian Böckenhüser from Travel Circus, and Rolf Schrömgens he was a former founder of Trivago and now he's with Brave Space. Please join me on stage. Thank you very much. Yes, make yourself comfortable, feel like at home. Thank you very much for being here.
Thanks.
And as every round, I will do it very professionally. We do the full introduction. So Susanna Chewy, you are head of Amadeus Ventures at Amadeus IT Group. Thank you very much for coming in again. It's the third time, right, we're doing this?
It's my third time. Thank you for the invitation.
So you're a loyal customer of the ITB Travel Technology Startup Session. Thank you so much. And then Bastian Böckenhüser, you are the founder and CEO of Travel Circus. So I invited you because you could be one of the ideal personas for a successful startup founder, right? Did you know that?
No. So first of all, sorry, I lost my voice. I'm going to try my best to still be noticeable, but thanks for having me.
Yeah, wonderful to have you. And then Rolf Schrömgens, thank you so much for coming. Many in the industry know your name, and they also know the brand that you built one day. And then, it became one of the most successful companies in our industry, Trivago. So he founded Trivago together with a great team. And now you're doing Brave Space, a space for entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for coming in and coming back to ITB for this industry once again.
After 15 years, so
yes.
First time actually.
You know, it's an honor to have you. Thank you so much. And yeah, Susanna, you are head of Amadeus Ventures, as I said, and it's the startup investment program of Amadeus IT Group.
That's correct, yes.
Right. So can you tell us a bit about how do you approach this at Amadeus?
Sure. Yep. So we started the program more than 10 years ago now, realizing and understanding the importance of interacting with the startup ecosystem. Entrepreneurs have a lot to offer, and same as a corporation, right? Together, we will be able to hopefully accelerate some of the innovations that will be needed by our industry. So that's the overall philosophy of the program. And so we work with early stage startups. So we try to find we provide the startups with both funding. So we have the head of the financial VCs, a similar criteria to the financial VC. At the same time, so we are purely strategic, which means that we would only invest if we believe that Amadeus can add value into your startups. And so by joining forces, is being able to bring our technology, our expertise, and also our reach to the ecosystem, and share that with the travel ecosystem.
Right, okay. And Rolf, I'm not sure how you feel about it, but everyone will, in this environment, always make the reference to Trivago, right? You are a serial entrepreneur. You built this company, and within a decade, it became the most successful hotel search company, right? I think there is no one in travel that doesn't know the brand. You brought Trivago public in 2016, but then in 2020, you stepped back as a CEO. Mm-hmm. Give us a brief background. What have you been doing since then, and what are you passionate about right now?
So I was always passionate about travel, but I was also passionate about building a lively organization. And I think we became knowledgeable known for creating an organization which was very agile. And I think we moved a lot in the time that we were active together. And what I do right now is basically I try to transfer the same thing to the whole ecosystem. So I made a step back from travel, but made a step towards developing organizations. And the most important people in organizations, usually who have the most impact in organization, are the entrepreneurs. And what we do is we give entrepreneurs space to evolve themselves, because we think only evolved personalities can also create organizations, evolved organizations, and only evolved organizations can create a real impact on society.
Right, that's an exciting take on how to approach this. Thank you for being here. And then, Bastian, you are co-founder and CEO at Travel Circus. You just rebranded, I saw. So I was used to your logo, now it's different.
So
but it looks good.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you're celebrating also 10th anniversary, so you're not that young anymore.
Yeah,
Right?
so I started Travel Circus 10 years ago with the idea to help hotels increase their capacity by packaging available rooms with events, where we would create kind of the reverse trend of what Trivago was trying to do to bring more transparency in the market. We try to reverse this by giving hotels the opportunity to hide their rates behind events where the event is the main reason for people to travel. And this way, we wouldn't have to go into competition with Trivago, Booking, Expedia, but rather against the usual ticket companies that are selling these events. And yeah, Travel Circus has now grown into like 120 people. We're focusing on the Central European market, but also France, Denmark. We recently acquired a company in Czech Republic and have now rebranded to really emphasize on our strategy to focus on these experiences where the event is the main reason for people to travel.
Wow, exciting, and congratulations. That sounds like a success story for now. So, yeah, before we start with the pitches, because we have 4 founders invited, and as you can imagine, when we don't have a really, like an application process that's very complicated. We make it very straightforward. We make a social post out, we say we have the sessions, contact us if you have a nice, new idea to pitch. And as you can imagine, there's hundreds. We had hundreds of applications. It's very difficult for someone that is not as emerged in how to evaluate that, to pick them and then invite them, and then they're coming, we're excited for them. But how would you approach this, Susanna? What are you looking for in the industry? What are you really wishing for to see? Like, where should we look for innovation?
Yeah. So there are the typical criteria. So is it about the team? Is it about the market size? Is it about potential revenues, traction, etc.? But I would say the most fundamental question that I would like to ask is, how big is the problem that you're solving? And say, how can you bring real value into solving that problem, right? To say, on behalf of the operators, of the providers. So I would say that's the most fundamental. So we've seen over the years, there's a lot of applications of new technologies, experimentations of new technologies. But it's all the experimentations, right? To say, we would like to see them to tie back into a real pain points that either the travelers or the providers are having. So I would say that's the most fundamental question, number one. Are you solving a real problem?
Right. And Rolf, from your perspective, do you think there has to be a problem to start a company as an entrepreneur? Like, what do I do if I want to be an entrepreneur and I don't have the idea, I don't find a problem? Do I have to look for a problem first?
It's interesting because I got just asked a question today before already. And for me, it's really it's the depth of the problem, I think everything is something that you can work on, right? Like, there's a lot of things that you can work on, like bringing something to market. If there is not a true value in it, that's something for me at least, I'm not interested in. It's something that you might do a first round, you might do a second round, and and ideally you are out then. But if that's not what interests you, you need a hard problem to solve. And you need entrepreneurs who tackle that hard problem and who are not afraid of tackling a hard problem. Because I think that's often what's happening, right? Because often when we are in front of something truly hard, like our brain tells us, hey, this is too hard, let's take a step back, and that's very natural. And I think what we're looking for is entrepreneurs who don't have that natural instinct, but really just go a step further. And when you start solving a problem, then you're creating value.
Ah, okay, that's interesting. Bastian, would you recognize that? Would you say that's certainly a trait you see in fellow entrepreneurs or yourself even?
Yeah, definitely. I think what I would add is, or often when I talk to people is, how big is the problem? What you mentioned earlier, a lot of times people really emphasize on these problems that, in my opinion, are not as big as it's interesting to get into in terms of like what kind of market share can you get. The second thing is that a lot of people are very naive when it comes to like scalability, because we even recognize it in our own business model that we obviously had to like find ourselves around and like try certain things in order to see how can we scale it even further. And I don't think we are already there. There's still room for improvement. So scalability, I think, is the second thing. And then third is marketing. How do you get the product out there? Because a lot of people have this naive idea about, I don't know, word of mouth or other potential partnerships that's going to bring you there. And at the end of the day, you need the hard facts, like how much do you pay for the acquisition of a customer? What's the lifetime value of this customer? How can you arbitrage it? And I think that's where a lot of people are very naive at the beginning, which is fine, but you have to learn it very quickly then afterwards.
Right, I saw you nod in agreement. Rolf, are you agreeing?
Yeah, I think it's one of the biggest problems that we have with innovation in travel. You know, like, I mean, you have here an example, and I think it's a very typical example, where innovation in travel is possible. You know, I've seen a lot of models in the last 20 years. And unfortunately, a lot of innovation, and a lot of that innovation doesn't exist anymore. And the reason for that is that there is no space, basically, or rarely is other space, which is so highly commercialized as a travel space.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
it's just incredibly difficult, and you're having really big players who just have built commercialization engines over the last 20 years. And not in a bad way, you know, like they're really good players. Like Booking.com is a really great player. Like you have a duopoly with Expedia not doing a bad job. You have brands like Trivago also, or Airbnb, and so on and so on. So there's a lot of competition in there. That is why it's so incredibly hard for young players to get through that wall, right? And here you have an example of why does this work, and for me it's very obvious why this works, right? Because you have a niche where you have like also like high customer value and so on and so on. So this makes a lot of sense, right? But there we see innovation. You know, like if you have to go heads on with the very big players, it's tough. And that is this naivety, you know? No, really, no, because then people say, yeah, no, you know, we do, you know, like it's just very, very hard to win search marketing, for example, or any kind of marketing against these players.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I can add on to that as well.
Please,
To say,
yes.
I had exactly the same discussion this morning with an experienced entrepreneur as well. Not to say, how do you like get on with an idea? To say, if you want to like start and have a startup in travel, focus on the things that the big guys don't have time on. Right, which means that this is a little bit further away, right? It's on the horizon. Like to say, it's using the older terms, it's a horizon 2+, not to say the 3, because if you're too close to what they can do themselves today, that they need today, most likely that they would be doing it themselves. But like, because of the nature of business, listed companies, returns, etc., is that they won't be able to prioritize things that are that are a little bit further down the line to meet longer terms trends that are up and coming, and you would be able to focus on those and then bring and already demonstrate how you can create value in the areas that is a little bit further down the road. So I think that's a pretty good advice.
Right, okay. And then there's a debate you always hear, like, what's more important, like the product idea or the team? What would you say?
Team.
Team, clearly? Can you elaborate on that? Bastian, can you how is it with your team?
I mean, I would argue that if you have a really good team, you can adjust the idea and you can like trial and error, and by the time you have like found the right idea, that's key. If you have a really good idea but you're very bad at executing, it's not going to get you anywhere. So.
I see full agreement here, so no debate on that.
100%.
100%? Right. I mean, we would have 2 minutes left, but let me quickly explain to you what's happening here in the next 45 minutes. So we have those 3, as you see, very knowledgeable personas sitting here that can share a lot of advice. They can offer a lot of good ideas and feedback, I guess. And then we scouted and we found 4 very impressive founders that are on the mission to innovate our industry. And they have, I think, fantastic ideas. And we want to give them the chance to pitch them to all of you, to everyone at home, but especially also to collect your feedback here on site. I think that's fun. And we will have 4 founders, each of them 3 minutes to pitch. We are very strict on that because we give time for a conversation. And it's not going to be like only feedback. Let's do it in a conversational style. Maybe you have questions to them that they should answer instead of like putting them on the hot seat. I think the objective is really to learn and like maximize this opportunity of being together at ITB Berlin Convention 2024. And let's see what innovations there for us. And yes, I would say we're ready for startup number 1, and is Sam Simmons. He's the founder and CEO of MintPass. Welcome on stage.